begin with, what you need to do to set up your Google site, your electronic portfolio, your collection of work for this semester, is to go to the Chandler Gilbert main page, which you can get to by going to www.cgc.edu, and then click on this little @ sign, which is, as you already know, because you've done this to set up forwarding of your Chandler Gilbert or Maricopa email, and it takes you to the login screen, and you'll go ahead and use your MEID and password and click on login. And after it thinks about it for a bit, it should dump you into your Gmail account for Maricopa. So it's still thinking about it. And it's still thinking about it. So I'll pause. Oh, here it comes. Good. So here it is. And so what you're going to want to do is come up to where it says Sites. And I probably should pause in between all of these. And so for you, you probably don't have any sites set up, or if you do, you probably don't have this plethora, but what you're going to want to do is to create a new site. So you'll click on that button, and you need to name your site. And what I would like you to do is to follow this format exactly, that I'm going to do a capital D, AVID, capital W, EAVER, PHY, 11, and if you're in 111, you would put 111, and if you're in physics 112, you put 112, and then put sum 11. So that's David Weaver, Physics 111 or 112, depending, sum 11, and it's all contiguous together. You don't see any spaces, you don't see any hyphens, you don't see none of that. There are lots of different templates in the gallery that you can choose from. I'm going to stick with the blank template because that's the easy thing to do. You can choose themes and other options, etc. I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to click on Create Site, and it's creating the site. I know, because it's telling me it is. See right there? And so here I am. Now, sometimes during that process, they'll have one of those CAPTCHAs at the bottom where, you know, it's the funky letters that are all swirly and that sort of thing, that they'll make you type that in. It does it sometimes. It doesn't do it every time. So here I am in my newly created website. Now, the first thing that I would recommend that you do is to come to where it says More Actions, click on it, and then say Site Permissions. Because what I've noticed is sometimes this isn't where I want it to be. Pardon me. I know it's here somewhere. Maybe it's Manage Site. Should have looked into this before. I'm going to pause while I look around, pardon me. I was in the right place. I just didn't recognize it at the time because they've changed things, as often happens. So what you notice that I did is I had gone to the More Actions and then went to the Share Settings. And do you see here it says Maricopa Community Colleges. People at Maricopa can find and edit. You probably don't want other people to be editing this, so click Change. And so what you want is to unselect that part, and then you get to decide whether you want to make this public on the web in case grandma wants to look at it. So you could do that, or you could say anybody with the link, but that's kind of that'll be a bit of a problem for us, but I guess you could pull that off. Either that or Maricopa Community Colleges. because we need to be able to see each other's when we're inside the Maricopa Community College domain. So it might be best to leave it at this default, but get rid of this edit access. Click Save. And then I'm going to close it. And then now what I am going to do is, this is my home page, so I am going to edit it. And then I am going to, up here in the title, rather than it just saying home, I'm going to say David Weaver's PHY11, and I'm going to use X to symbolize either a 1 or a 2 depending on what course you are in. Now, down in the body of this, what I would like you to do is to put some sort of image that represents you. And so there's this insert link over here on the left, which you can't see very well because I didn't make the window the right size. I'm going to click on image. I'm going to find an image of me, and I don't know if this is a good one or not. I was playing around with lots of different ones. There, isn't that lovely? And click OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and click wrap on, and then what I'd like you to do is to put in a brief bio, and it can be something as simple as live in Mesa, born in Jupiter, and I am a biosciences major, but just a little bit of something about you. Click Save, and there you have your home page. This will be the landing page. When I ask you to submit the link to this, this is the URL that you will use. You'll just copy that and paste it in to the place where I'm going to want you to paste it. Now, what we're going to want to do is add 3 additional pages. So we're going to create the first page, and since it lists them alphabetically and I want them in a specific order, that we're going to use numbers to force the order of these. And so what I'd like you to do is, for the name of this, do 1 dash, oops, I want dash, not underscore, 1 dash, and then we're going to call this weeklies. And the kind of page we want to use for it is announcements. Now we have a choice of putting it at the top level or putting it at underneath, and so underneath the home page. So we'll go ahead and leave it at this top level, and then later on you can monkey around with putting it beneath, but let's leave it at that top level. And so there's the home, there's the weeklies. Now the way weeklies will work is that every week, as you'll read about in the physics tasks document, you're going to be describing what it is you did and learned and have questions about for that week. And the format of how you do that is going to differ depending on the grade that you want, and I will often assign, especially for those pursuing A's and B's, different ways of doing it. But anyway, the way, regardless of what modes you're going to use, what format you're going to use, that each week you will click New Post, and then in the untitled post you would put, for example, for the first week, week 1. And then down here in the body, if you were just going to do a text version of it, you would just start typing. Do you know this language? And you would have that if you were going to be embedding something from a Glog or from Vimeo or YouTube. You would do that a different way, which that's the subject of a different screencast. But that's how you're going to make use of your weeklies. You'll save that, and then when you go back and take a look at weeklies, that what you will see is that there will be week 1, and you'll have the ability to edit it later, but since you turned off the ability of other people to edit, they won't be able to. But the thing that should be available is that if you actually go to it, other folks could make comments, and we'll possibly make use of that at least in some of these. Now what we're going to do is we're going to head on back, and we're going to create our second page. And this is going to be, since it's the second page, I'll start with 2, and then what I will call this is document archives. And we'll again put it at the top level. Now the type that we're going to use is file cabinet. And then we'll click create page. And what the purpose of this is for you to go ahead and make an archive of all of the documents. In other words, those things that you create on your computer, that you want to store those in this portfolio. And so this will include that if I ask you, if you're in 111 and I ask you to do a VPython program, that you will put that program here. If I ask you to do an Excel spreadsheet, you'll put that here. And then the other thing that's going to be a frequent occurrence is that you'll be doing some sort of activity, and I've asked that you make sure you do screen captures of salient things that you've done, like if you've done some sort of online simulation, that when you get to the end of it or at some appropriate point in there, you'll take a snapshot of your screen, which will create it as an image, and you'll post that image. And so that is something that we will be doing. And so while I'm here, what I'd like to do is, I wonder if I can do it this way, because I haven't set it up this way before. But let me try doing new folders. I'm going to put a folder for week 1, and then I'm going to do it for week 2. And continue on until you have 8 of these. And so that would be a good thing to set up here initially. And then when it comes time for you to add something that you did during, just say, week 1, you would click on Add File, and you would find it somewhere on your computer. And I want to find something, I don't know what this is, but just say this is, because it's a screenshot, that I'll go ahead and put that in. And what you want to do is put a file description, and this is a screenshot of me doing, I don't know, some kind of activity. You would be more specific. And click upload. And then what I would do before I went anywhere is I would click on that box, do move to week 1, and then I'd be good. So this is where you're going to archive all of your documents. So again, a document is something that is stored on your computer. The third and last sort of page that you want requires you to create a page, again sticking with our numbering, that what I will call this is other documents. And the form that it is going to take is announcements. There are many things that you are going to be doing that will, I guess I need to create the page, that will have you creating something that doesn't reside on your computer. For example, if you did a Google Doc, or if you created a video that was on Vimeo or YouTube, or you did a blog or a screencast or any of those sorts of things, that typically those end up in the cloud. They end up somewhere on the internet, and frequently you're able to get embed codes from them. And so what you would want to do is to put those into this area, because those aren't documents that reside on your computer, so you can't upload them. But again, you want to be able to have this portfolio that contains an archive of everything you've done in this course. And the way we'll operate it is that you'll do a new post, and you are going to have each week is going to be a post. And so what I would do is, for this week, I would probably have some description, and then I would embed whatever the other documents are that are out there on the internet. And again, I'll show you how to do that in a separate screencast. And then I would save it. And you know, it's something that if you wanted to, you from the outset could go ahead and do a week 2, 3, 4, all the way up through 8 up here at the very beginning, just to make the space for it. And then when it's time to come back and put in the stuff, you would click on Edit Post, and then that would allow you to do what you needed to do. And that's something that you could also be doing as you go through the week, that as you create stuff, that you could edit, post, and add to that week's worth of stuff. So I hope that all makes sense, and that you will be able to use this effectively. And so with that, if I can find how I can shut this off, I'll do it. Enjoy.